Good day to one and all. This is Dr. Sivaraman of iknowindices.com. I'll be presenting now the Asian Session Live Market Analysis and the Forecast webinar between 5 and 5:30 GMT. And I was supposed to give yesterday, 5th of September, for this week, 5th to 9th of September. Since I was away for 2 weeks and also had some other work yesterday, I could not present it on the Monday, start of the week. Anyhow, I'll be giving now the expected market moves and also in the range in which the currencies are expected to swing during this particular week. Also, you would have noticed in the previous week, after that of the unexpected non-farm payroll, which was expected to be very low, everybody thought that Euro and GBP will go up in a big way. But what the players have done it, they gained the levels in the case of GBP, gained the levels in the case of USD, and initially Euro also gained in phase with it of GBP and subsequently made the slide. So this is how they make the differential moves or the contrarian moves in order to bring in the volatility in the case of the crosses. And this week again, the players are expected to make such contrarian moves. They are just positioning themselves, accumulating the positions. So they are just accumulate the positions, gain the levels and book profit. Again, drop, accumulate the position, gain the levels and book profit. This sort of cyclical trades, they are doing it in a wide range so that their profit will be sufficient enough to buy at the higher levels when they want to make the shift in trading zone to the higher levels. Because of the reduced volume in the market, the relative volume in the market has come down drastically. That is why they take a prolonged time to do this sort of wide range consolidation before making the shift in trading zone to the higher level. This week, this month, they are expected to make the upward shift in trading zone. The signals are there because after handling the majors mainly, they have now come to the crosses. So that means the majors, they have accumulated enough positions, but in the crosses, they have to make some quick drops and accumulate the positions. Then only they will be able to gain the levels in the case of crosses also. So such sort of swings are expected to happen during this week as well. Now, I will give the forecast for this particular week and later on explain the market trading technique. So the derived forecast to start with, afterwards the levels in which the currencies are expected to swing, then the market trading, how to fine tune the forecast using that of the initial lows and the highs, and briefly touch upon the trading strategy which we need to use always with our trades. Now yesterday was 5th of September. They made the gaining levels and made the slide during the European session and again gained the levels. And today they are expected to make the swing and rise during that of the Japanese session. And then they are expected to make the slide in the case of Euro and GBP during that of the European session. So before that, what they will do in order to handle the yen crosses, they will make the drop in the case of USD yen, then followed by that drop in the case of Euro and GBP. Now, nominally, as a result, you will come across the yen crosses will come down. Then afterwards, they will make the swing and firm up move during that of the US session. Then on 7th of September, they are expected to make the swing and rise during the Japanese session and then swing and slide during the European and US session as well. In the case of Euro and GBP, at that time, USD yen, instead of going upward, it will make further downward moves in order to push down the yen crosses. Then afterwards, on Thursday, dip and rise is expected to happen during that of the Japanese session, and then swing and firm up during the European session, and then swing and slide during that of the US session. So at that time, we'll come across more drop is envisaged in the case of Euro and GBP. Then afterwards they'll make the dip and then rise and swing and form up and swing and slide move the case of euro and GBP along with that of USD, but they will gain the levels in the case of Australian dollar and drop the levels in the case of Canadian dollar, and CHF will gain the level. That sort of contrarian move they are expected to make in this market, so that will bring in more volatility in the case of the crosses. So you know how they do the sequential trend reversals, and in that process normally they finish it within the week or maximum 2 weeks when they are doing the monthly trend reversal, but they were not able to get adequate positions. That is why they continue to make the contrarian move in the market. And one such contrarian move, we can see it as euro is showing negative net change, whereas GBP is showing positive net change. USDN is showing positive net change, and GBP is showing positive net change, which is again a contrarian move. USDN is showing the USD gaining move, and GBP is showing USD weakening move. Then in the case of commodity pairs, they are making the USD weakening move. So you find that mixed moves are happening in the market, and such contrarian moves they make it in order to handle the crosses. So they will be focusing more on the crosses this week and probably even next week before they're going to the major shift in trading zone in the case of the majors from the third week of September. Then the expected ranges in the market during this particular week, could come down to 1.1125 or a little lower and then start gaining it later on. And in the case of GBP, they are expected to come down to 1.32 area and then go up to 1.35. And in order to bring in the contrarian move this time, they will hold euro and gain more levels in the case of GBP after the initial drops. Then in the case of yen, they will make continued downward move in order to set the lows for the month, and for that they will continue to make, and that is why they have done the gaining levels and also the higher level consolidation with the frequent upward stopping in order to make a downward move, and they are building sell positions around 103, 104, and afterwards they will suddenly let loose the market. At that time, euro and GBP also come down nominally, but USD could make drastic move like 100, 200, 300 pips in order to create the panic condition in the market. And then you'll find the traders will really get confused. And that's the way the players build positions and shift the trading levels suddenly. That will give the market fear. Then later on, traders will try to position it wrongly and get trapped. And that is why they will make huge moves in the case of USD. And then in the case of CHF, from 97.25 they could go up to 99.75 level. And in the case of Canadian dollar, they are expected to make one downward push as well as upward push. So it will be mostly sideways move. And in the case of Australian dollar, they are expected to slowly gain the level, hold and gain, that sort of moves they are expected to make. But not a significant gain could be seen because they will be handling Aussie crosses, the Euro Aussie, GBP Aussie, etc. For that, they will be simply holding Aussie and making the gain in the slide in the case of Euro and GBP. As a result, you will come across volatility in the case of Aussie crosses as well. Now coming to that of the market reading. So I had noted down the initial lows and the highs of yesterday as well as today for you to have an understanding how every day if we note it, we'll be able to really understand what the players are trying to do it. So yesterday initial low 1.1153 and today's initial low is 1.1141. It is slightly lower. And the high also yesterday 1.1166 and today's high is 1.1152. And they just breached the high, went up to 1.1158 and come down. See, this is how they play a trick. Make a brief upward stop and before making a slide. Then in the case of GBP, yesterday's low was 1.3291 and today's low is 1.3297 and yesterday's high was 1.3307 and today's high is 1.3319. This might give that impression to the other traders that they are making their higher lows and higher highs. So then GBP could make upward move. But after making a brief upward stop, and they are expected to make the slide in the case of GBP after holding some time. Once they drop euro and hold GBP, you come across euro GBP cross comes down. Further, they will hold and later on make the slide telling that there is a USD gaining time. So euro and GBP will start making the slide. But they will give a different story with regard to the slide in the case of USD yen. And because when USD yen slides, it will be USD weakening move. But instead of telling that it's contrarian move, they will say yen has to undergo breathing and it has been overbought, so it will come down. That sort of stories they will try to give. Then in the case of yen, yesterday's low was 103.69 and today's low is 103.38 and yesterday's high was 104.13. Today's low is 103.80. So they are not breached the low, but they breached the, they are not breached the high, but breached the low by 1 pip, indicating that they want to slowly come down, pretend as if it is going to rise, and later on make the slide in the case of USD yen. And in the case of CHF, 92.92 was the 97.92 was the yesterday's low. 97.97 is the today's low, and that the low they just breached it by 1 pip, 97.96, and the high 98.09 was yesterday's high. 98.10 is the today's high, indicating that they are making only a narrow range consolidation or simply holding. In the case of Canadian dollar, yesterday's low was 1.2976 and today's low 1.2919, and they just breached the low and come down to 1.2913, whereas the high 1.2999 yesterday and today 1.2933, that they are not breached it. So you can understand how they slowly made the consolidation yesterday, started making the slide, and then today again they are just making a pretty narrow range consolidation and started breaching the low. So this is how they are doing the high level consolidation in the case of USD yen as well as USD CHF and Canadian USD CAD. They are making the high level consolidation to make for the downward move. Australian dollar, yesterday's low was 0.7563 and today's low, initial low 0.7581. It is higher lows, and yesterday's high was 0.7591. 0.7627 is the today's low, and they just breached it and went up to 76.36 and come down below in order to give the impression that it could fall. But they will simply hold Australian dollar and slowly firm up when euro and GBP make the slide. So this is how they are expected to make the contrarian move. So follow that carefully. Don't go with that of relative comparison of the currencies, and when euro gains immediately or when euro drops immediately, don't think that USD yen is expected to gain, and they will pretend as if it is going to gain but then drop again, and that sort of moves they are expected to make. So look into that of the net changes. That will indicate what sort of contrarian moves they are doing at a given time. Then accordingly, you take the positions and make swing trades. And don't be in a hurry of just relating the currencies. And once you go in for a correlations of currencies, you will find miserable results. And so avoid that during the time frame when the players do the contrarian moves as the predominant type of moves. This they do it in order to position themselves accumulate as much of positions as possible, and also doing during the wide range swings in order to build profit, and that will be added to that of the new higher level purchases, so that their purchase level will be always lower than that of the market. If suddenly anything unexpected happen, they can just liquidate all the positions without any loss, because they trade with huge margin. So automatically, if they lose also, it will be a very big loss. So to avoid it, they have the strategy of doing the swing trade to start with, to build up the equity, and then use such equity to buy higher levels, so that when they buy a higher level with the equity and also with the profit, and their profit will bring down the entry level, and any level they exit, still the profit will be retained. And so you have to understand how the players do it, and accordingly you try to trade along with the other players. And today's recommended trades, I just given it because early European session they will make a small gain and then drop again. So you can do a buy and sell trade in the case of euro, and sell stop at 1.1100 hedge order. Then in the case of GBP, you can do a sell and buy trade with a buy stop at a higher level. And in the case of yen, you can do the sell and buy trade with a buy stop at a higher level, and buy and sell trade in the case of Australian dollar, as they are expected to gain the levels. So these are all the recommended trades. You can try it in a demo trading platform and find out how exactly the results are. Then later on, you can understand how to read the intentions of the player. Equip yourself well before entering into that of the live trade, or before entering into that of the real trade. Because if you try the real trade, the trial and error method, and the equity erodes, then immediately you will disqualify any trading strategy. And that is a normal human tendency. Probably you would have just entered into the market at the wrong time, and the strategy might not have worked. Then if you lose money, you tend to disqualify the trading strategy. So keep in mind that if you are trading in the majors, you have to choose the early and the late sessions of the sessions. That is the early 1.5 hours from the start of the session, 1.5 hours towards close of the session, and mid sessions you can trade the crosses. They will be making active moves in the case of crosses, and since they are making the contrarian move now, so early and the late sessions also they will make some quick moves in the case of crosses as well. And so watch that and try to trade accordingly. So if you've got any question, you can ask me in the question answer window, FX Street Forex live video window, and I'll be willing to answer those questions. And I'll come back on Friday and review the forecast, what I have given it. And then we will be able to understand how the players are cunning all the time. So let me just sum up what I have explained, the forecast for this week. So today is Tuesday, swing and rise. During the Japanese session, they will make a small firm up and then make the slide during the European session. So watch and take a sell position in the case of GBP, buy position in the case of Euro, because they are expected to make a brief contrarian move and make a quick rise in the case of Euro, and swing in the case of GBP. As a result, you will find Euro GBP will go up and then drop again during the European session. So always keep in mind, when they are making quick moves, all quick moves are false moves. During that time, if you try to take the positions, when they stop cutting the new low or new high, for about 10 to 30 minutes, you can take positions, and that will help you to quickly grab and close the positions, grab profit and close the position. So keep in mind that when the market is in consolidation, if you try to take position, it might test your patience. If you are not having adequate patience during trading, then better wait for such quick moves and try to take positions in the market. Whenever they make a brief downward stop and upward stop, try to take position so that you will be able to quickly book profit. The levels in which they are expected to swing, as I explained. In the case of euro, they may make a nominal downward move further from here, but not a big drop. But in the case of GBP, they could make another 50-70 pips drop from the low and then start gaining the levels during the week. And in the case of yen, in order to push euro and GBP higher, they will try to make a drop in the case of USD yen. But later on, the players will drop in the case of euro and GBP also in order to push the levels in the case of euro yen and GBP yen on the downside. And later on, gain the levels in the case of euro and GBP, and USD yen is also expected to gain following it. And afterwards, all the three will make continued contrarian move on the upside for this month. So if there are any questions, I'm willing to answer those questions. Okay, no question is coming forward. So I take this opportunity to thank FX Trade for the facilities provided to present the webinar. And I was not available to give the webinar for 2 weeks. And now I come back, I'll try to give the regular webinars from now. And hope you are able to really get the benefit out of the information what I am providing to you. Try to get rid of the market fear. Then you'll be able to really understand how the players are manipulating the market, and that will help you to build your equity. Thank you one and all. Wish you all happy trading and meet you again on Friday.